Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar on the World Heritage Leadership Program. This is held as part of the ECROM lecture series. And before we start, let me go over some housekeeping points for this webinar. You can send in your queries and comments via the Q&A icon that you can see at the bottom of the Zoom window. And we will take up some questions after the presentations. In case that we're unable to answer all of your questions, we'll try to answer them through email, if you can send us an email at the end of the presentation session. Now, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, ECROM, the International Center for the Study of Preservation and Restoration of Cultural Property, is an intergovernmental organization working in service to its 137 member states for promoting the conservation of all forms of heritage in every region of the world. ECROM is also one of the 3 advisory bodies to the World Heritage Convention, together with ICOMOS and IUCN. And it is in this context that the work of our program, World Heritage Leadership, sits in. The COVID-19 situation has enabled us to adopt digital communication methods very rapidly. And this is actually one of our response to reach to a wider audience through the means of these webinars. We are talking about the program in general today because we want to get the message out that we are here. We're hoping that we have a lot to offer to help you. And
lunch, and then I'll be back.
And because we know that there is a wealth of knowledge in you, our audience, that can contribute to our ongoing work. My name is Eugene Zhou, and I work as the program manager of the World Heritage Leadership Program, which is jointly delivered together with IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, in collaboration with ICOMOS and UNESCO World Heritage Center. I will be moderating and presenting this session, and I'll be doing it together with a few of my colleagues whom I will ask for their cameras to be turned on at this moment. Let me just quickly introduce my colleagues to you. We have Nicole Franceschini, scientific associate at the Brandenburg Technical University of Cottbus-Senftenberg, Germany. We have Mr. John Zulu, site manager of the Museo Atunya Victoria Falls World Heritage Site of Zambia. We have Ms. Andrea Margota, who is working at the National Center for World Heritage Sites in Korea. And we have also Ji-hong Kim and Ms. Young-nok Park from Korea. Ji-hong and Young-nok, could you turn your cameras on and just wave a hello? Yes, both from the Cultural Heritage Administration of Korea. And last but not least, we have Mr. Tim Badman from IUCN, who is the director of the Nature Culture Initiative at IUCN, and he's the director of the World Heritage Leadership Program, working together with ECROM on a daily basis. Tim? Yes, okay. Hello. So although we will be alternating between live presentations and video presentations, all our speakers are here today live together. So if you have any questions directed to any of these members, please use the Q&A channel from the Zoom webinar. So I will go back to my presentation and lead you through what the World Heritage Program is. So what is the World Heritage Leadership Program? Very simply put, it's a capacity building program. In other words, training. Our work is twofold. The first step is to break down the knowledge and information into resources that are very easy to understand and apply. So we're actually compiling and revising management manuals, toolkits, guidance documents. And then the second step of it is to create more opportunities for people to learn and use these resources created And we do that through hosting many different courses, workshops, forums, and also these webinars so that we can actually deliver the content of these resources to the wider audience. The key qualities that mark our capacity building activities are networking, peer learning, and empowering. We don't propose to be able to give you a fixed magic recipe, but what we can do is enable you to network with your peers on a global scale and to be asking the key crucial questions that will make you start think differently and act differently as a heritage practitioner, and to be able to influence the people, the communities and networks that work around you and change the institutional frameworks that you work from within. Now, why do we call it capacity building and not training? Because it's not about transferring a piece of knowledge that is already set, but it's actually more focused on building up the ability within each and every one of us to be able to acquire the right kind of knowledge and to be able to apply it so that our capacity as a whole increases to perform better. This is a slide that was produced by our course participants at the end of a 2-week course in 2017 on how they saw the importance of capacity building and the way forward. Whereas this is the status quo of the relationship where the international community is very much directing the institutional frameworks to regulate heritage practitioners and practitioners getting to decide for the communities and networks. We think that capacity building should actually look more like this, where the international bodies nurture and build up the capacities of all areas so that the institutional frameworks can actually support the heritage practitioners who can in turn serve the communities and networks that they work with. Now, the challenges that we're facing are increasing risks of disasters and climate change, but also development happening at all corners of the world, be it large or small. We need to be able to think ahead and prepare to manage these changes whilst ensuring continuity for heritage. In the past, we persevered to protect the physical fabric of individual monuments and sites and aim to ward off any impacts, which could only be negative, onto the heritage itself. And the practice was contained mostly within heritage experts and professionals based on very well-established conservation principles. However, now we recognize that the values held by the people who are associated with the heritage within their diverse context is very, very important. And as society changes, change in heritage is also inevitable. Impacts from these changes can be both negative, but it can also be positive. And because we cannot isolate heritage from the rest of the world, we need to be able to manage the elements of change and continuity for heritage, which can produce positive long-term impacts for heritage, but also for society as a whole. So in response to this, these are the key areas that the leadership program focuses on, which is overarchingly heritage management. We strive to learn how we can achieve better, effective, and just management of heritage by linking people, nature, and culture associated and connected with the site, regardless of the typology, be it nature or culture, and with a specific focus on conducting impact assessments and building resilience. We believe that by focusing on capacity building for site managers and focal points for World Heritage, we hope to reach out to the wider sector of institutions and communities through you, which is why we're hoping that more heritage practitioners like yourselves working at either site level or at regional level or at national level, working with diverse types of heritage and communities to share your knowledge and practice with us, so that together we can actually build and adopt a place-based approach to the management of heritage with both natural and cultural values. We can exercise people-centered approaches to conservation actions and to address resilience both in daily context and in specific situations, such as extreme disasters. We would like to make our resources as simple as possible for people to use it easily. We realize that there are already a lot of material out there, and these are the circles that you see on the screen are management cycles or evaluation cycles or disaster risk planning cycles that are taken out of the existing World Heritage manuals. Now, these are all very excellent and useful for different purposes, but because they were all conceived separately, sometimes the content of these manuals don't necessarily speak to each other. Sometimes one resource talks about management in a slightly different way to another resource. And often practitioners or site managers on the ground who need to digest all of this and implement them as a single team or sometimes even a single person can get very confused about what to select and apply and understand how these all connect to each other. So the program is working on integrating the manuals together, but not just between culture and nature, but between all the different products that we're working in, so that we can actually base it on the common knowledge of what heritage management is. The management manual will be accompanied by a revised management effectiveness assessment toolkit called Enhancing Our Heritage. Whilst we're very accustomed to the process of conducting a status check on the conservation of heritage itself, we often neglect that the management systems that we work in also need to be regularly checked and monitored so that it stays healthy and efficient. The EOH toolkit is designed to undertake that assessment process, and these two resources will be fully interconnected to each other. The currently separate heritage impact assessment guidance and the environmental impact assessment guidance for natural and cultural heritage are both being integrated together to be one holistic set of guidance, whilst we're also revising the manual on managing disaster risks so that the climate change adaptation aspects can be integrated in together. Now, although these two areas may seem distinct and separate, they're actually very much interconnected in their processes of identifying and assessing factors of impact or hazards so that we can be better prepared to manage the change of the heritage. So our goal is actually to establish a very simple knowledge framework. It's the basic ABCs that can be applied to all heritage places, providing the basic concepts of what is needed for managing a heritage place. And upon this common base foundation, manuals will be compiled to provide direction and knowledge on good practice. Then it will be up to the practitioners to select whatever tool it is that they need to use to fulfill the objectives and that fit the specificities of their site. Now, the most important aspect about this program is that it's a collaborative program between many different actors and institutions. The program is funded by the Norwegian Ministry of Climate and Environment, with contributions coming from the Swiss Federal Office and the Korean Cultural Heritage Administration. And all the different institutions listed here are our technical and financial partners. But in reality, the program is actually made up of all the participants and sites that collaborate together with us. We learn from the cases that you bring to our courses and activities, and we try to work on the challenges that you face. We believe that the world is our classroom, where we use the World Heritage System as a platform to share diverse management practices. When we meet site managers from all over the world, we're constantly amazed at the diverse practices and approaches for heritage management in so many different realities that site managers face. And when you participate and share your cases and difficulties, we get to learn what the key lessons from your sites are. So if you fall into any of these categories of working at a heritage site, be it nature or culture, at whatever level, site level, regional level, or national level, you can work in diverse capacities of government agencies, but also NGOs, community groups, local associations, etc. And you are eligible to apply to all of our courses and activities. Now, I would now, at this point, like to hand over to my colleague, Nicole Franceschini, who has been a part of numerous ICROM courses together, and also behind the scenes of coordinating the Two Site Managers Forum, and also an active member of ICOMOS. Nicole will actually explain more about what we do in the courses and forum activities that we implement. So I will now hand over to you, Nicole.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Eugene. Let me share my screen with you. As Eugene has already mentioned, it is my pleasure today to introduce to you the courses, fora, and the various training opportunities that are present within the framework of the World Heritage Leadership Program. And these activities are really one of the primary focus of the program itself, as they allow for the direct connection with participants and with the experience of participants that usually come from multiple regions of the world. As you have already heard in Eugene's presentation, your contribution is really vital for the success of the program, and particularly for the successfulness of the outputs of the program itself. As a capacity building program, the World Heritage Leadership was created with the clear intent to become a wider platform for the engagement and participation of practitioners, communities, people, and institutions that are involved in the conservation, safeguarding, and management of heritage places, with a particular focus on World Heritage sites. Participation in courses, workshops, trainings is one of the ways in which you can connect with the program and learn more about the various tools and materials that are being developed within the framework of the leadership program. Like, for example, the knowledge framework that Eugene has briefly mentioned, and the update of the Enhancing Our Heritage Toolkit and the impact assessment guidance that you will see in one of the upcoming presentations. Courses offer a direct platform for networking and connecting with other practitioners, community members, and institutions on a one-to-one base, which can become later on the basis for the establishment of long-lasting contacts and partnerships. You see here, for example, a couple of the pictures of the most recent People, Nature, Culture courses, the PNC course, that they took place in Italy, Zambia, and Sri Lanka, and some of which were actually initiated by people who had previously taken part in other courses and training activities. The People, Nature, Culture course is an annual capacity building activity organized by the World Heritage Leadership in cooperation with regional, national, local actors and institutions. PNC is a 2-week capacity building course focused on exploring the interlinkages of nature and culture and the key role played by people and local actors in the identification, management, and conservation of heritage places. The course learnings are based in the context of a World Heritage Site and its management system, offering participants the opportunities to have a deeper look into challenges and different methodologies and approaches applied to create solutions. PNC aims at addressing the importance and experiences made in liaising with different actors, communities, and working in different systems. This course draws on the experience of the place in which it takes place, but also from the 20 case studies that are brought to the course by each one of the 20 participants. The course is a platform to encourage the sharing of experiences made and solutions that have been applied by participants in the context of their sites and/or their research. As you can see here, the overview of one of the schedule of the previous courses, the course is a combination of lectures and site visits that are closely integrated with the local context, and the sharing of individual case studies together in combination with group work. The leadership program always tries to ground the courses at a real life site and utilize the actual management issues. We make it an opportunity to addressing on the ground specific management challenges and getting in touch with different methodologies and tools that you can apply at your own site, whilst getting to know the site, its values, the context, and people with the insights and knowledge provided by our local actors. And here we can see some images on the role and importance given to the aspect of group work and peer learning. In fact, peer learning is really placed at the heart of PNC as a course and as a capacity building activity. The course focuses on the experience of drawing solutions through cooperative work among participants and using different experiences to inform local actors on new know-hows and methodology. There is, in fact, often the misconception that knowledge resides only in experts, lecturers, or research people, while in these courses, we strongly build on the knowledge that is shared and brought to us by course participants, communities, and local actors. Our courses take place at a specific heritage site, which we collaborate with, starting from 1 to 2 years in advance, to make sure that the course participants can experience the management aspects and factors from all rounded viewpoints. We connect with these sites often through our previous course participants. Those who came to our courses became later catalysts for the program to reach out and work together with new sites and explore new approaches and ways of dealing with existing challenges. For the ones working in institution, our recommendation is to ensure the allocation of some resources for the establishment of a sustainable long-term capacity building strategy, which will benefit the work of the institution in the short, medium, and long term. We are always looking forward to have more people joining the World Heritage Leadership Program and our activities to share their knowledge and experience and to inform the program about real needs and challenges that are important to institutions, practitioners, and communities that are working at a site and they are doing day-to-day work in the field of management and conservation of heritage places. Join yourself, and if you have already participated, we kindly ask you to recommend this to a colleague, a supervisor, or to send to courses and training activities a junior member of your team. Another capacity building activity that is carried out on a yearly basis is the World Heritage Site Managers Forum that you can see here in the picture. The World Heritage Site Managers Forum is hosted every year in conjunction with the meeting of the World Heritage Committee. The forum is a capacity building activity co-organized by the World Heritage Leadership in cooperation with the World Heritage Center and the host country of the World Heritage Committee meeting. This activity is dedicated to site managers and members of site management teams, communities, and practitioners from institutions involved in the management and conservation of cultural and natural World Heritage sites. The forum is a place where to explore new methodologies and approaches that are being developed by the World Heritage Leadership, ICOMOS, and the World Heritage Center through a mix of presentations from colleagues from the advisory bodies and the World Heritage Center. And also in this case, the experience brought by participants and through the application of processes and approaches and concept to real-life case study that are generally provided by the local context and usually in cooperation with the host country of the forum itself. The forum is also understood as a safe place where to exchange between fellow site managers and with key heritage institutions. The forum offers participants the chance to better understand the processes and procedure of the World Heritage Convention, as well as to experience firsthand the decision-making by the World Heritage Committee. The first edition of the forum was actually held in Krakow in 2017, and it was followed by 2 fora in 2018 in Manama, Kingdom of Bahrain, and last year in 2019 in Baku, Azerbaijan. During each of the forum, participants explore together key aspects and topics that are related to World Heritage and the management of heritage places. In the past, the forum has dealt with key topics like enhancing cooperation between institutional, professional, and community network for more effective management of World Heritage sites, has explored the role and responsibilities of site managers and their team. And in the latest one in Baku, we have actually discussed the role of sustainable development in the management of World Heritage sites. Through a mix of formal and informal learning and building on peer sharing, the fora reflect on key management topics with a view at supporting the work of professional, communities, and institutions that are involved in the management of conservation of World Heritage sites. It is important, and we really want to stress that fora are a safe environment where site managers and management teams can get to talk to one another in a safe place and in a safe environment in which you can share your experiences, discuss your challenges, and also discuss together about different ideas and new approaches. Each year, participants to the World Heritage Site Managers Forum prepare a final statement capturing key aspects of the conversation and discussions that took place during the forum. The statement is then presented to members of the World Heritage Committee. This offering also a chance to address common issues, challenges, and opportunities to those in charge of decision-making within the framework of the World Heritage Convention. At present, the program is looking at possibly convert some of these activities to online activities with the hope to recommence with new courses and fora in 2021. I give back now the floor to Eugene to introduce John.
Thank you, Nicole. I would now like to ask for Mr. John Zulu's video interview to be played. John, who is actually together with us here, is the site manager of the Museo Atunya Victoria Falls World Heritage Site of Zambia. He has been an active collaborator in our capacity building activities going back more than 10 years. And after participating in the People-Centered Approaches course in 2017, he has been the key coordinator for the program to go to Africa and conduct a People, Nature, Culture course at the site of Victoria Falls in 2018. So John is here with us, but we'll be playing his video to deliver his message. Could I ask for the video, please?
My name's John Zulu. I'm the site manager here at the Museo Atunya Victoria Falls World Heritage Site. It's a transboundary site that is co-managed between the state parties of Zambia and Zimbabwe. It was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1989, mainly for its natural values. However, through the World Heritage Leadership Program, we have been able to understand and learn how to conduct cultural mapping. And this has enabled us to understand that the Victoria Falls itself, it's not completely a natural site, but it has got important cultural values that are embedded therein. Such values include spiritual or religious. It's a sacred site because a number of people, not only from Mukuni village, which is in the proximity of the site, but people from Livingstone, all over Zambia, in the region of this part of Africa, including the world over, they come to this site to conduct their religious activities. And before this, we were not able to understand and know this important value. The program itself, it has enabled us as well to understand that cultural values are pertinent to completing the storyline of this property. This program, which is undertaken or conducted by the World Heritage Leadership Program, it has been able to improve my management skills because I have been able to recognize that I cannot do all this by myself, but including stakeholders such as the local people themselves, who are very important and key to understanding and interpreting the values that are embedded in the site. It has helped me to develop those skills to bring communities together, not only communities, but other stakeholders. That is stakeholder identification process. I learned it through this World Heritage Leadership Program. The program has enabled me to also interact with other World Heritage Site managers from Africa here and across the world, and developed a network where today we're able to communicate, ask each other questions on how to effectively manage the site, share knowledge and also experiences, which has been very cardinal to myself. The site has benefited from this program through a training program that was hosted by the Victoria Falls itself, which invited more than 22 experts in Africa and all over the world to come and learn how we are managing both natural and cultural values at a property like this. This program itself helped me to learn how to organize, how to coordinate, and how to communicate effectively. And it has played a very important role in my life as an expert. Among other things that I've learned are how to do value mapping exercises, stakeholder engagement, information sharing, conflict resolution, and the roles of advisory bodies, which they play not only to a site but as well to the World Heritage Committee. These are some of the things that I've learned through the World Heritage Leadership Program, and I'm so grateful and thankful to this program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John, for your kind words. And I hope we've been able to deliver what our courses can bring when we work together with actual sites like the Victoria Falls. I would now like to highlight some of our two other areas of work. And let me just share my screen here. And which is the Enhancing Our Heritage Toolkit and the Guidance on Impact Assessment. I did already mention earlier about how we overlook whether our management systems are healthy enough. The Enhancing Our Heritage Toolkit is something that we can use to see if our site management is effective, if it has enough strategy, if it has enough resources, if it has enough knowledge, in a general level. It's not supposed to be a reporting system, but it's just a useful tool that can assist site managers to work as effectively as possible. It's composed of 12 different tools that look at the various different aspects of management. It can be used all together, but it can also be used individually as needed. The questions in the toolkit allows you to take a status quo of how your site is being managed and identify the gaps and challenges that needs to be addressed in the future cycle of management. It's designed so that you can take a holistic and integrated approach. So it's not about firefighting an emergency issue or something that you really need to deal with immediately. It provides a common framework for all of those involved to come and sit around the table and to talk about general management issues. For this to be effectively used, it's imperative that all the relevant stakeholders come together to work and discuss and assess the situation and suggest better ways of collaboration. Now, this was a tool that was originally designed as a toolkit for natural sites. So we're in the process of adapting this for cultural sites and testing it on various different realities. Valparaiso in Chile participated for the testing activity. The workshop highlighted some management challenges facing the diverse stakeholders, as will be presented by Andrea a little later. Impact assessment is also one of the key areas that we're working on. Small and large scale developments happen all over, sometimes within the property boundaries, but often also in distant locations that still have enormous effects on the heritage itself. How do we base the assessment of the impact on the values and attributes of the heritage and determine what are acceptable and what are not acceptable changes? We need to also recognize the diverse variety of impacts, such as visual, social, economic, and cumulative impacts. Again, basing the information on actual development cases around heritage sites, the course concentrates on delivering the key ideas and methods for ensuring a sound impact assessment process. By taking the course, participants are equipped with the necessary knowledge and tools to make sure that an appropriate impact assessment can be designed, can be commissioned, or be implemented, but also ensure that appropriate mitigation measures can be tailored for the specific context and legal framework of each site. It's not necessarily about weighing out positives and negatives, but it's ensuring that heritage is part and parcel of sustainable development and recognizing the potential that a well-designed development where heritage can be considered early on can actually contribute to better conservation of heritage. So throughout all the different products that are developed within the leadership program, we will continuously go back to these core elements and units of management that can orientate a better understanding of what we're doing. This is to provide the basic concepts, the ABCs of heritage management. Based on this knowledge framework, the manuals that we compile will be able to give you direction towards good practice and how you can blend all of these elements together so that we can produce better results. So we hope that you will be able to join us and contribute your knowledge and experience, as Andrea from Chile did by hosting an Enhancing Our Heritage workshop at Valparaiso, and also as Chi-Hong and Young-Nok did together with us to convene an impact assessment workshop in Korea. I will now pass the floor over for our videos from Andrea and from Korea to be played.
Hola a todos, les envío un saludo desde Santiago, en Chile. Soy Andrea Margota y soy parte del equipo técnico de profesionales del Centro Nacional de Sitios de Patrimonio Mundial. El centro es parte de la Subdirección Nacional de Gestión Patrimonial del Servicio Nacional del Patrimonio Cultural, institución que hace parte del Ministerio de las Culturas, las Artes y el Patrimonio en la reciente institucionalidad cultural de nuestro país. En este breve video les quiero compartir la positiva experiencia de colaboración en desarrollo con el Programa de Liderazgo del Patrimonio Mundial, llevado a cabo por ICROM y UCN con la colaboración de ICOMOS y del Centro de Patrimonio Mundial de UNESCO. En el marco de las actividades consideradas en el programa de liderazgo, se nos ha invitado a ser parte del proceso de revisión y adaptación del kit de herramientas EOH, traducida al español como Mejorando Nuestro Patrimonio. Herramienta diseñada originalmente para evaluar la gestión en sitios de carácter natural, con el fin de revisar la efectividad de la gestión desde la propia administración. Es decir, se trata de una herramienta de autoevaluación diseñada para uso de los administradores de sitios. En el contexto de adaptación de esta herramienta para su aplicación en sitios de carácter cultural, el sitio de Patrimonio Mundial Área Histórica de la Ciudad Puerto de Valparaíso ha sido seleccionado como un Learning Site, teniendo en cuenta la diversidad de variables que influyen en la gestión de un sitio de esta tipología, tratándose de una ciudad histórica vinculada al puerto como principal atributo de su valor universal excepcional, en el que su gestión se entrelaza con una serie de variables relacionadas con su carácter de ciudad viva, por lo que su conservación y manejo representan una tarea compleja que requiere de herramientas más eficaces para facilitar los procesos de gestión, abordando el reforzamiento de enfoques hacia las comunidades y los vínculos entre naturaleza y cultura, por ejemplo. El ejercicio, en el caso de Valparaíso, ha sido liderado por el Centro Nacional de Sitios de Patrimonio Mundial, en conjunto con el equipo del programa de liderazgo y en estrecha coordinación con el administrador de sitio, que en este caso es el municipio de Valparaíso. Una primera actividad en formato de workshop se llevó a cabo el año recién pasado en Valparaíso y contó con la participación de representantes de diferentes actores institucionales y de la comunidad relacionados con la gestión del sitio. Se sostuvo jornadas de trabajo facilitadas por el equipo del programa de liderazgo con el objetivo de aplicar el kit de herramientas EOH en el sitio y así evaluar el estado actual de su administración. Esta primera actividad se consideró como una importante instancia de análisis para abordar una serie de temas relacionados con la administración del sitio de Valparaíso de manera integral. Revisamos aspectos de base, como obtener una clara lectura del valor universal excepcional, o los factores que actualmente afectan al sitio, hasta aspectos de mayor complejidad como es la interacción de los diferentes actores en los procesos de gestión y monitoreo del bien. Desde el Centro Nacional de Sitios de Patrimonio Mundial evaluamos muy positivamente esta colaboración y el proceso de trabajo que aún se encuentra en desarrollo. El ejercicio ha sido de gran utilidad para el sitio de Valparaíso y este diagnóstico positivo ha sido compartido también con el administrador del sitio. Agradecemos la invitación a participar y estamos muy contentos de seguir trabajando en esta colaboración, a la que pronto esperamos dar cierre y así contar con resultados que esperamos propicien el uso de este tipo de herramientas de autoevaluación como parte de los procesos internos de monitoreo por parte de los administradores. Por ello, transmitimos nuevamente nuestro agradecimiento al Programa de Liderazgo de Patrimonio Mundial por esta importante oportunidad de trabajo colaborativo.
Thank you very much, Andrea. It was actually a great pleasure for us to work together with Chile and with Valparaíso because it actually showed us the potential of how useful the EOH toolkit can be in very complex management situations, such as an historic urban center, like the example of Valparaíso describes. Now I would like to ask for the video from Korea to be played, where Jihong and Yongnok talk to us about their experiences of hosting an impact assessment course in Korea. Could I ask for the video to be played, please?
세계유산이 있지만 세계유산위원회에 유산영향평가 보고서를 제출한 적이 없고 아직 경험 있는 전문가도 거의 없는 상황입니다. 문화재청에서는 한국의 문화재 관리 시스템과 다른 유산영향평가에 대한 유산관리자의 역량을 키우기 위해 한국에서 이크롬 훈련 프로그램을 개최해달라고 요청했습니다. 그래서 작년 8월에 유산관리자를 대상으로 일주일간의 유산영향평가 워크숍을 개최했습니다. 저희보다 훈련 프로그램을 준비해 주신 이크롬과 전문가 2분, 조유진 선생님과 세러코트 선생님께 감사드립니다. 두 분은 참가자들이 각자가 갖고 있는 세계유산과 영향평가에 대한 생각을 자유롭게 말할 수 있도록 도와줬습니다. 한국과 같은 아시아권에서는 강의식 교육이 대부분이고 참가자들이 토론 문화에 익숙하지 않아서 저희는 그룹별 과제와 토론이 잘 진행될지 걱정했습니다. 영향평가의 필요성이나 현장에서의 경험에 대한 두 분의 발표 내용에 대해서 참가자들이 특히 공감하는 부분이 많았습니다. 한국의 문화재 관리 시스템에 대한 관심을 바탕으로 참가자들 모두가 자신의 얘기를 할 수 있도록 독려한 점이 더욱 좋았습니다.
현장을 기반으로 했던 그룹 과제가 유익했던 것 같아요. 세계유산인 종묘에 대해 탁월한 보편적 가치를 표현하는 구성 요소들을 작성해보고 어떤 부분이 보존해야 될지, 어떤 부분을 변화시키게 될지를 생각해보면서 유산영향평가의 개념에 대해 쉽게 이해할 수 있었던 것 같습니다. 이크롬의 영향평가 훈련 프로그램을 통해서 모든 참가자들은 영향평가에 대한 전문적인 지식을 얻을 수 있었고요. 그리고 세계유산 인근의 개발 사업에 대해서 세계유산으로서의 탁월한 보편적 가치에 대한 보호와 다양한 이해관계자들을 조정해 나가는 방식을 이해함으로써 유산의 보호와 그리고 주변의 변화를 통합적인 시각으로 바라볼 수 있게 된 계기가 되었다고 생각합니다. 이렇게 좋은 프로그램을 이크롬과 운영했다는 점에 대해 보람과 자부심을 느낍니다. 다시 한번 감사드립니다.
Thank you. I would now like to hand over the floor to Nicole to carry on talking about the panorama and our research networks.
Thank you very much, Eugene. Let me get into. Here we are. Thank you very much, Eugene, and thank you from our Korean colleagues and Andrea from Chile for sharing the experience with us. I want now to talk about new projects that are about to start and the reason why we want you to connect with us, especially on these upcoming projects. In the course of 2020, the World Heritage Leadership, in cooperation with ICOMOS, will launch a new project via an existing platform, which is called the Panorama Solutions for a Healthy Planet. And this is a multi-partner initiative platform focused on sharing examples of inspiring and replicable solutions across a range of conservation and development topics in order to enable cross-sectoral learning and upscaling of success. The program will host on Panorama a newly established nature culture thematic community, which will focus on mainstreaming the interlinkages between nature conservation and the safeguarding of cultural heritage in connection to the role they play in fostering sustainable development. The community will present place-based and people-centered approaches and processes from places valued for their cultural and natural significance, looking across indigenous people territories, rural and coastal landscapes, seascapes, and urban landscapes, but also on the wider spectrum of protected and conserved areas and their connection to communities and their cultural practices. The Nature Culture thematic community will provide a platform to demonstrate how nature culture interlinkages are central to the conservation and sustainability of heritage places with natural and cultural values in diverse regions across the globe. Learning from the different ways in which nature is perceived, understood, and utilized in different cultural settings would reveal a diversity of methods and protection and management. This solution or approaches are fully developed and applied by different institutions, communities, and heritage practitioners that are working on the ground. Panorama offers not only the chance to share experiences and mainstream solutions, but it is also a chance for site managers, communities, and institutions involved in the conservation and protection of heritage places to directly connect with other people and institutions that have dealt with similar challenges. The first 20 solutions that are being created in cooperation with site managers, community members, and institutions that have been directly involved in courses and site managers fora, as well as the IUCN ICOMOS Connecting Practice project and the nature culture capacity building workshops that were organized by the University of Tsukuba. The project is a tangible manifestation of the continuous wish to mainstream knowledge and experience sharing, which is a fundamental concept of all World Heritage Leadership activities. The thematic community looks at reaching out and engaging an even larger pool of natural and cultural heritage professionals and institutions, offering them the possibility to connect with one another in the application of solutions that have been applied and tested in similar contexts. And as we know that participating in these activities is time-consuming, and at times the formulation of written case study can be rather tedious. The one thing we want to make clear is that we offer full support in the development of these solutions for the Panorama platform. And if you're interested in taking part in this project, you should get in touch with us. Another key aspect of the near future development of the World Heritage Leadership Program is to establish cooperation and networks with relevant universities and research institutions conducting research in the field of heritage studies. Building on existing and to be developed partnership with universities and research institutes worldwide, the World Heritage Leadership will be looking in the next months at the creation of a working group as a first base for the future establishment of an international research network that will connect universities, research institutions, practitioners, and communities in working together in the creation and development of relevant and informed research that can support both research institutions and heritage places. The research network builds on existing experience of cooperation with the UNESCO Chair on Nature Culture Linkages in Heritage Conservation of the University of Tsukuba, which cooperated with the World Heritage Center, ICROM, IUCN, and ICOMOS in the establishment of a series of capacity building activities that were focused on nature culture interlinkages and were held on a yearly basis between 2016 and 2019. Other cooperation with research institutions included the Summer School on Heritage Impact Assessment that was organized together with the Heritage Management Unit of BTU Cottbus-Senftenberg, Deakin University, and Helwan University. For young and emerging professionals that are interested in conducting research and or getting some experience or engaging with the World Heritage Leadership, here is a chance for you to connect. And you can do it through either an internship or a fellowship at the ICCROM headquarters. You can find more information on these opportunities on the ICCROM website under the Get Involved tab. The call for fellowship to be undertaken in 2021 closes on September 15th, while there is the current application for internship to be undertaken in 2022. Finally, you can actively contribute to the World Heritage Leadership online community by joining our Facebook page. So if you are on Facebook, please connect with us. The page is called World Heritage Leadership, and it is an open group. With more than 2,200 members, this online community of the program is a space where members can share information and opportunity, and they can get more information about the program. The community is a space where members receive information and can share information. So we're really looking for you to join us and be active. I want to take one more minute to remind everyone and to actually set a save the date for the upcoming World Heritage Leadership ICCROM lectures that will be taking places in mid-July, and they will deal with the upcoming impact assessment guidance for World Heritage, which Eugene has already briefly introduced to you. As you have already heard from Eugene and the presentation from our colleagues from Korea, there is much work that has been done on the update of this guidance, with much help and support from practitioners and institutions worldwide. On July 16th and July 30th, you have the chance to learn more about the progress done and the update of the guidance and the review steps and processes for impact assessment. As we have mentioned many times that we want you to connect with us, and we're really looking forward to be in touch with you, here is one way in which you can connect with us beyond Facebook and other direct emailing channels. This is the official email of the World Heritage Leadership Program, WHL Leadership at icrom.org. And we kindly ask you to write us and be in touch with us for any questions and or any ideas, any interest you might have in engaging with us, because the program truly builds on what you can bring and what practitioners bring, what community members bring. And this is key for this program to be successful. Thank you. I'm giving back now to Eugene.
Thank you very much, Nicole. With this, we would like to conclude all our presentations that we have prepared, and we'll move on to receiving some questions and providing some answers. We've received some interesting questions and comments, and I would like to just ask our panelists to turn their cameras on so that we can ask you at least one question each, and maybe you could provide a short answer for those. I would like to address my first question to John from Zambia, because you talked about how the course has affected your practice in identifying values, about working with different communities and with different stakeholders and developing new networks as a heritage practitioner. But can you tell us if there are any changes on your institution as a whole in terms of how you practice management on a day-to-day basis, or is there any change budding from these personal experiences?
Thank you. Yes, we have significant changes in terms of day-to-day management of the property, in the sense that our management structures, I should say, it is a little bit relaxed in terms of accommodating, especially the people that are working with us. When I say the people, I mean the people of Mukuni, who are more or less like the owners of the property, because they practice all these rituals and other spiritual activities right up in the property. And so because of that, we have seen that instead of being hard and fast and on the issues of management and trying to do away with anything to do with cultural practices that we have relaxed and we've been able to accommodate them, whereby they're coming in and conducting their rituals, conducting their practices as free as much. And we have seen that as ourselves, as also people who are working on the site, who have become so accommodative and very observant now to see and record whatever they are doing, so that we can be able to understand much more, the values that the site holds.
Thank you. That's actually really important. When we went there, there were a lot of cultural elements that played a part in protecting the site itself, in practicing the management. And I'm very glad to hear that there are management practices being changed on an institutional level. The next question I would actually like to direct to Ji-hong. Ji-hong, are you together with us? Could you turn your camera on? I would.
Wait a second.
Because there was a question about the impact assessment and being prepared for development around heritage, and the question is that they would like to ask, what was the most important and useful point from the impact assessment process that you could take away and apply in the real life basis of the cases that you're facing?
In Korea, most development projects around heritage sites are for tourist facilities. It is very difficult to revise the initial plan because developers continue to talk about economic profits and huge scale, but the heritage experts insist that the building should not be constructed. In many cases, both sides did not understand each other's language, and there's no consensus about it. So I think the great thing about HIA is that it is a very powerful tool of persuading or communicating. A team of HIA experts play a role as a mediator between developers and heritage conservationists in the process of revising plans and suggesting mitigation measures. So in the HIA process, it is possible to improve the quality of proposals by understanding each other's viewpoints. And I expect we could minimize the visual effects on the heritage sites, but also increasing the convenience of tourists and the profits of local community as well. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. That's actually very good to hear. Impact assessment, as we promote it, is actually just a process. It's a methodology that we need to adopt. It's not an answer to the problems of development itself. And I think your points actually highlighted those important aspects. Thank you. My next question is headed towards Andrea, and I see Andrea's waiting for us. We have a question about asking what were the key learnings in Valparaiso when you were using the EOH toolkit, and there was a question wondering whether there were any issues that were not covered by the toolkit. If you could also explain a little bit about maybe the steps afterwards that you've taken after applying the EOH toolkit, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, of course. Well, the EOH toolkit is very open and flexible to each case. And I think that the level in which the result can have more effects or key learns will depend on how it's working the site administration. I think in Valparaiso, some key learns can already be seen after having done the first activity, as the site lacks of an implemented plan. So part of the toolkit were selected to focus the analysis on the site for a best reading of the OV and to better identify the management objectives, as well as identify all the stakeholders related as a fundamental basis. And it's expected that these inputs will fit into a future plan. I think this is the most important long-term effects in this case. And related to the issues not
covered in the toolkit. Well, the toolkit in its current version was not made for cultural sites. It's a part not currently covered by the toolkit, and it is why the work on its adaptation is being done, just to improve this linkage between nature and culture.
No, aspects about governance, which was not clearly included in the previous version of the toolkit, is now being revised and added in, as are many different aspects about cultural values as well. Tim, we have one question for you. As representative of IUCN and working together in this collaboration between nature and culture, if you were able to add another module to this program, a future theme, what would you select, and what would be the priority needs for this program to address in the future?
Well, thanks for the question, Eugene, and on behalf of IUCN, thanks to ICROM as well for being such a great partner with us in bringing this together. And you've heard about all the other partners, so I'd just like to, at the first, before I answer your question, and to give me more time to think, just really acknowledge all the people that have made this happen. I mean, I think I would pick on actually two different needs in answer to your question, and thanks for not warning me about the question. So to me, the obvious content gap in the program, or the place we could do more, is around the expectations of World Heritage Sites to perform in relation to tourism and visitors, because that's always such a big part of what is anticipated when a site gets listed. But there's lots of ways in which that could be better connected between the sorts of expectations that can be created through the international system and the realities on the ground. And I think we haven't really talked very much on this call about the crisis that we're all living through at the moment with COVID-19. But one of the things one might expect to be also very significantly changed in the future is how people view visitation and tourism. So I think that's one priority. And I think the other priority, which is not content, but it maybe enables me to address a couple of the questions that are also in the Q&A, is to do much more in the way that this meeting is happening online, because I think that both enables us to be sort of much more responsive and reach a much greater range of people. But also, although we would need to sort of think about repeating events, one of the biggest issues that we're trying to address with the program is how to organize conversations that don't mainly get mediated through the working languages of the World Heritage Convention, and in particular, the way that English is such a sort of dominant language that we all have to sort of use to talk about World Heritage, whereas on the ground, only 1 in 10 World Heritage areas is a place where people speak English as a first language, maybe not even that. So we miss a huge ability to engage at local level if we don't find the ways to have events that can be able to allow for much more diversity of languages being spoken as well. So I guess those would be my two priorities: one on the tourism as the gap, to answer your question, but also to do much more in the online space. And I guess to answer the question from Gabriel Caballero in the chat, let's talk about ways in which we can consider new, more interactive webinars and meetings and online gatherings to join together. Thanks very much for the question, and thanks for this brilliant event.
Thank you. No, we actually did have a lot of inquiries about online participation and resources. I would just like to highlight that the manuals that we are aiming to produce, all the different resources, we are planning to upload them onto a new website, a web platform, which will be hosting all the series of resources that we do produce in the future. but also to explore new ways of conducting online courses. We're already considering converting some of our courses to an online module in the coming 2021 year timeframe, so that we'll be able to better answer the needs on the ground without being restricted to too much budgetary implications and travel needs. So this is just a response to an overall question about the online aspects. So I would just now like to ask all our panelists to say goodbye to our audience, because we're now finishing and wrapping up. Thank you very much for all your participation and also your pre-work in providing us with the video presentations. That was very much highly appreciated. And before concluding this webinar, I would like to once again express gratitude to all our panelists, but also our organizing team here at ECROM. They have been working very hard to bring these webinars to you under these exceptional circumstances where we're all still sitting at home. And we thank all the attendees for participating in the webinar and raising important questions. The recorded version of this webinar will be shortly made available on the ECROM website, as it will be on our YouTube channel, so please subscribe. And we have a series of lectures coming up, and we highlighted the 2 lectures coming up within the leadership program, but also different program activities of ECROM are hosting webinars as well. And our very next webinar is actually tomorrow at 2 p.m. Rome time on accessing heritage during a pandemic. This webinar is held as part of the series of ECROM's international program on first aid and resilience in times of crisis. So with that, I would like to now close our webinar session. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to be able to connect with a lot more of you in the future in coming days. Thank you very much. Goodbye.